Hi everybody, it's Reagan here, and I'm just popping in with a quick message that I feel on my heart lately that has to do with this massive change that humanity is going through right now, that the earth is going through right now. We are truly here for such an exciting moment in history, and it's becoming more and more apparent. There's a lot of beautiful, beautiful things to come. There's a lot of change to come, though. So that means we're going to witness a lot of darkness continue to come to the surface. And this is not news, we've been seeing this. But my point isn't to fearmonger about this, because it's not worth fearing even. But it is, I believe, worth acknowledging the existence of these things. And being truthful about them, meaning not being in denial about some of the things that may come to the surface. It's very important that because to transform the darkness, you have to be aware of it fully, all of the nitty-gritty aspects of it. You don't want to hide from it because it can't stay hidden forever. It just can't. It's the nature of darkness. And you don't want it to stay hidden forever because otherwise you wouldn't be able to kindle a light and shine a light on it, which is really what it's all about. So, without getting too deep into that, because it is more of an illusion than anything, how do we deal with this darkness on a broad level? And I just want to share my observations of how to deal with this. No matter what it is, whether it's in your individual life or on a collective scale of things happening in the world, or whatever it may have to do with when you witness this darkness, whatever feelings it might provoke inside of you. The best way to handle it in the long run, and if it does stir up feelings of anger or sadness or fear or bitterness or resentment or whatever inside of you, that's okay. That's natural. It's a natural human emotion, so feel it. But don't hang on to it overbearingly. Release it, because this is a big point I want to say. In dealing with this darkness, and whatever, any kind of darkness, again, the only way to transform it is to learn to love it. To have forgiveness, to have compassion, to have empathy. And this might seem hard, and there's a difference between loving something to transform it. There's a difference between that work and being taken advantage of by dark things. Those are not the same thing, so make no mistake about that. I'm not saying be passive and let the darkness continue to hurt or steal or whatever it may be trying to do. That's totally different, and it's important to have the wisdom to make the distinction, because it can be really hard sometimes to not be taken advantage of. It's important to stand up for yourself, to love yourself. So don't take it that way. But it's more of an internal thing, because you can still stand up for yourself and bring what you may feel is justice to the situation, while cultivating a sense of true love and compassion and forgiveness in your heart for these dark things or dark people that have lost their way, because that's really what it is. And I really think that's important. Otherwise, of course, I wouldn't be saying that. And I know it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. But for example, the beings that are ruthless like that want to steal and lie and cheat and manipulate and even kill. They are full of resentment and trauma and fear and just the most horrendous state of being one could even try to fathom. And there's many reasons for that. These beings are not connected with their true source energy. They're actually rebelling against it. And that's a whole nother story for another time. But my point is, they are so full of this low vibrational fear and resentment and hatred and all this crazy dark stuff. And so naturally that's what they create. That is what they know. They don't know any other way. And that is familiar to them. That is strangely comforting to them. But my point is that all of that resentment they feel and they harbor and they spread is not going to be ever changed by us feeding into that hatred, because that's what they want completely, 100%. It's not a good way it's not a helpful way, I should say, to deal with it. These beings have so much resentment. They want your resentment. They don't, it doesn't matter how angry you feel at them. That's what they want. They're actually going to feed off of that emotion. So, as hard as it is, this is the main point I want to make, especially now and in upcoming times, as we continue to witness these dark things, whether again it's on an individual personal level or on a collective level. What comes to me as one of the most important ways to deal with this upcoming exposing of darkness is learning now and practicing every day, cultivating a sense of unshakable love and light in yourself, of security in yourself, of connection to your Most High. Because that's not only going to protect you and keep you grounded, because you don't want to feed into the fear. You don't want to. It's not helpful at all. That's what they want you to do. That's the whole point of most of it. So cultivating and connecting to this highest source of love, and it is a practice, because it may be easy to do that if things are going well and you're meditating or on the beach watching the sunset. It might be a lot easier to connect. But when you're faced with chaos in the external world, or heartbreak, or trauma, or anything, that's when it can be a lot more tricky sometimes to be able to cultivate this high vibration of light and love in yourself. But I feel strongly like this is the time that we're going in where it would be very wise for individuals to start consciously thinking about that, and even more importantly, practicing the cultivation of this high energy, this high vibration of love, of unconditional love, and truth, and forgiveness, and peace, and compassion, and grace, and harmony, and all these different expressions of high vibrations. Because that's what's truly going to transform the darkness. That's what's going to protect you. That's what's going to guide you. That's what's going to make you immune to the darkness, because you're going to be so strong. You're basically going to be a commander of peace in that sense by your energy alone, because you're not feeding into what they want you to feed into. And you're actually so much stronger when you are able to do that. You're so much stronger that these things can't even really fuck with you at all, no matter what it is. And I think that's really important, especially for people who are trying to do this work, who are aware of this stuff, who understand what I'm talking about. And it may seem intuitive, but it's just a reminder that, again, we're in a time, especially now, where you don't want to feed all of this darkness and anger and horror with more darkness and fear and horror, because you're going to keep perpetuating the loop, which is not helpful. And again, we're humans, we have emotion. It's okay to feel that stuff. But don't get sucked into it, because it's not helping you at all. It's not helping anyone, except for helping to perpetuate this cycle of dark weirdness that is going on. But by being able to cultivate the high vibration of love, again, you become immune. It's your protection, it's your guidance, it's your strength. Darkness can't even mess with you at all once you're able to cultivate into that vibration by your own willpower at any time, no matter what's going on in the external world. You will really immediately shine a light on it, and you might not even realize in all the different ways that you will affect the situation merely by cultivating that high vibration and by your own will choosing that, rather than instinctively reacting to some of the stuff we're seeing, again, in fear, anger, hatred, resentment, because that's not helpful. So as we go on and we start to see this stuff unfold, however it may be, as wacky or chaotic or smooth, or however it may end up actually playing out ultimately, I do believe the more that we can focus on the love and building the new, rather than fighting the old or becoming almost enamored by all of the dark things that we're going to see, that we've already seen and continue to see. It's, again, there's a balance there, because I see some people completely ignore that dark stuff, and I don't think that's very wise, because it's there and it needs to be acknowledged. It wants to be acknowledged. So we can't completely just not look at these things that are going on, because we are going to learn a lot from them. And we have to transform them consciously. So it's good to be aware of all the stuff that's happening in the world that's coming to the surface, and not deny it, and not deny how wicked and malicious and evil a lot of it actually is, or appears to be. But at the same time, we can't lose sight of the actual goal of that, which isn't to just stay on their level and keep fighting them and hating them and shaming that, or whatever it may be. That needs to be acknowledged and fully dealt with. But again, that's not the main focus. The main focus isn't punishing evil. The main focus is allowing love and truth to prevail now. And that's a whole thing on its own. So again, it's not so much about fighting the old, I don't think, as much as it is about building the new. And while cultivating these high vibrations are the most effective way to combat these low things, these shadows, these darknesses, it's the most effective defense against that. It's the most effective offense against that. But it's not just about that. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than I could even put into words or fathom. Cultivating these higher vibrations that human beings are as a species really are starting to be able to hold now. All of the healing and the love and the creation and beyond that already is and is going to become of that in many different ways, on many different levels. That is really what it's about, that evolution that we're entering, being able to be who we really are as free, sovereign, multidimensional beings. That is really what it's about. And that is so beautiful. That is so exciting. It makes me super excited. So that's just a little message I had today. This is already running longer than I wanted it to, but I really felt like that was important, because we are going into crazy times, to be honest, but there are ways to focus on the love, and I do believe that is the most important thing, no matter how wild it gets or what comes to the surface of reality in the next years or so. It's our responsibility, if we understand, to be mindful of our energy and how we're spending our energy and how we're handling the energy. So thank you for listening. I hope you all have a good day. In upcoming videos, I want to talk more about things like this and about different specific techniques, whether it be sound or light or visualization, or all kinds of different ways to start really anchoring in this high vibration, because there's so many different ways to do it and everyone's different. And if you follow your intuition, you will find it yourself. But I feel like maybe I could be of help to some people who maybe want a little more information on different ways to anchor that light. So again, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.